And a very good afternoon, this is vk3sl. Test missions on 160 metres and we're at it again, another day, another withdrawal experience. We're getting smaller and smaller, folks. We are withdrawing into our little zones, everything is becoming miniaturised, and suddenly our domestic world becomes our life. Such is. Yay. Well, what have we got to offer today? Nothing entertaining, of course. It's test missions, nothing else. But we do have things on a playlist of sorts. And what we will do, when I fade this out, is start off with some shellac. We're going to go back to the 1930s, and I found a recording of some Cuban music. So, yes, we'll just cue this up because it's got a bite out of it, this record. And I think it's ready to go. Oh, is it? No. Whoops. I think we're in the groove. vk3sl. Testing.
Bajo la luz solar de un cielo tropical, sufriendo vive con el dolor que le da la vida sería de un negro que perdió su libertad y su Dios, sin el cariño que el destino le robó. Bajo la luz solar de un cielo tropical, sufriendo vive con el dolor que le da la vida sería de un negro que perdió su libertad y su Dios, el cariño que el destino le robó. Negro tabaco, olvida tu libertad y está alegre. Mira, mira cómo vino los diablitos con la familia arrollando. Niño, ay qué tristeza el negro tabaco y no tiene libertad y de la vida pasar, mientras el alma solo sabe sufrir y llorar. Qué triste vivir, oh, rumba negra, de mi tierra quisiera el compadre tú no vas a morir. Oh, rumba negra, de mi tierra, qué triste vivir, oh, rumba negra, de mi tierra quisiera el compadre tú no vas a morir.
Yes, there we go. Wow, hit the microphone boom there. This is vk3sl testing, and we've just been listening to an original 78. And I'll hold it up to the microphone and have a look. What have we been hearing? Spectacles on, and it's a rumba tamba with the Lacona Cuban Boys, recorded on Decca in the late 1930s. Now, what's on side B? La Chaparrita, another rumba. So I think we will hear the other side. This is good. The only problem with this record, it's got a bite out of it. So that makes it slightly difficult to navigate. You've got to get the stylus in the right spot, but I think we're ready to go. vk3sl testing.
No llores, chaparrita, no llores por tu pancho. Si te va de rancho, muy pronto volverá. No llores, chaparrita, no llores por tu pancho. Que si te va de rancho, muy pronto volverá. vuelta del vacío, de haya cositas buenas, besitos para la nena, y en agua de pescar. Linda chaparrita Dios, de mí me hizo la flor, yo no me quiero morir sin volverte a besar, yo me muero rabiosa, marihuana que fumar, Belén, Belén, Belén. Quien te quiera a ti.
Music from Cuba, and of course we are living in Cuba at the moment. Yes, sounds of Cuba in the 1930s. This is vk3sl, and we're testing, of course. And what do we have next? We have music from the 1920s. We always feature something from the 20s. We do this regularly on our late night missions. We play music from the 20s. And in this instance, we're going to revisit one of the aggregated files put together by Mr. Prozut. And this is featuring the California Ramblers. And before I play this, I'd just make note that we are actually, because we're locked down, because we can't move, because we're in straitjackets here in Straburbia, to make sense of things, we'll keep these missions, we'll give them a slightly higher profile and continue as we can. And that includes this Friday. I wasn't going to be around this Friday. We were going to be in Inverloch, but it didn't happen. Couldn't go. We had to cancel the holiday yet again. So yes, this Friday mission should happen as per usual at 11:30. So stay tuned for that. It's again on 1868 kilohertz on the 160 metre band in the narrowband FM mode, and also on 147.475 megahertz in 2 metres, again, narrowband FM. So that's the way we work here. So we have late night missions on Fridays for those who enjoy the graveyard shift, and quite a bit of interest. We really exploit the collection and look at all sorts of weird and dark places. And these missions are a little bit more mainstream in the afternoons. Hopefully we'll have Frank and maybe even Jamie with us on Friday night. So I'm working on that. And haven't contacted them yet, but we'll work out something and see if we can have a program of diversity and interest. And of course, certainly not entertaining. Right, there we go. That's the promo for this evening. We'll now have a listen to the California Ramblers, care of Mr. Prozut. VK3SL testing.
Bless you, sister. Oh, bless you, little sister. Bless you, 'cause you showed me the way. Ooh, I was weary and life was dark and dreary till I met you on revival day. I was a sinner, but ain't gonna sin no more. No, I found the right way, is the way to your front door. Just hear me crying, oh, I need purifying. Bless you, sister, won't you lead me home? look this baby over. Tell me, don't you think she's fine? Oh, Lodo, I want you to know she's mine, all mine. Get a load of those two dimples, why kisses taste like wine. Oh, Lodo, I want you to know she's mine, all mine.
And if she didn't have a cent to her name, that wouldn't matter, I'd still love her the same.
But her dad has lots of money, it'll all be hers in time. Oh, Lodo, I want you to know she's mine, all mine. Beautiful, beautiful changes.
He plays those beautiful changes in
Different keys,
beautiful changes and
harmonies. He starts in C, then changes to D. He's fooling around, most any old key.
What's that? Hear that minor strain? That's it, there it goes again. There's so many babies that
He can squeeze, and he's always changing those keys.
Is a test transmission of vk3sl.
sing. There's something wrong with everything. Nothing does like it used to do. And since you left me all alone, the bees all left their honeycomb, 'cause nothing does like it used to do. Each little bird that I see way up in the tree is napping. They seem to be like poor little me, waiting for something to happen. Mr. Moon up in the sky, he's tired of waiting, so am I. Nothing does like it used to do.
Give me today, tomorrow never will come.
vk3sl test missions on 160 metres in the narrowband FM mode. Listening to the music of the California Ramblers, recordings made in 1928, recorded for Columbia. Excellent transfers from Mr. Prozoot as well. So we're exploring some of that resource at this time. There seems to be some nice aggregated files. So we get about 10 or less tunes and we're able to let them run. And I think it's great missions fodder, I have to say. Anyhow, as I said, we are testing. We're not entertaining. That's something I make abundantly clear. But if you do wish to be entertained, there are two streaming services, and these may be considered our primary source, actually, our primary modality. And you can look those up. One of them is on YouTube. It's just my call sign, vk3sl, as a channel on YouTube. And there we have these missions streamed live and also logged. So you can go back and listen to anything else from these Corona times or one of the late night programs even. So there's quite a bit of material there. And also there's the traditional streaming method that I've been using for quite some time is accessible via a blog page, which in itself can be found via my QRZ page as well. So you just need to look that up, look up my call sign on qrz.com, and then you'll find a link to that. So two streaming services which run concurrently, and of course we're transmitting as well on 1868 kilohertz in the narrowband FM mode, and noticing that I do seem to be getting out quite well in Foster at various times, checking on the SDRs, so that's all very encouraging. And greetings to those out and about, tuning into these missions from faraway places. It's good to know that the signal is getting out. That's the nature of it, folks. We're testing. And also a shout out to our neighbours who just got married today. And it's really exciting for them. This is Jamie and Genoa who got married this afternoon. But sadly for them, they were going to have 10 people at their reception. But because of the restrictions, sadly, that had to be reduced to 5. So a bit untoward, but I don't want to take anything away from their special moment. So that's what happens. Crazy times, but nice outcome for them next door. All right, we will continue, and I think for our next door neighbours, we'll play an item from Yasha Spivakovsky. We played some of Mr. Spivakovsky last night. He was one of the great pianists of the century who ended up in Australia. He still toured while resident in Australia. It's a long story, but the Spivakovsky brothers and Edmund Kurtz were in a trio, and they were touring Australia, and at the time that the Nazis came to power, and they stayed here, and they became refugees in Australia, and they just did so much for Australian musical life. Remarkable, remarkable musicians in the highest echelons of their craft. Yasha Spivakovsky has been likened to players like Friedman and Hoffmann, such as his poetic and the subtleties and the nuances in his playing. He was a player of great delicacy, beautiful musician. And sadly, he did not make any commercial recordings, but his son, Mikhail, actually recorded him at home on a Tandberg, and on a Tandberg reel-to-reel machine. And some of these records have been brought to light in a recent set of anthologies, and they are worth celebrating. They've been re-equalised, and they just sound fantastic. So there's quite a lot of material of Spivakovsky which has come to light in recent times. He passed away in 1970. But these recordings have recently come to light. So they are really worth celebrating. It is such an extraordinary Australian story, and it's a story I might try and flesh out a little bit more on the late night missions. We'll see if we can do more to bring the story to the fore. Anyhow, let's have a listen to Yasha Spivakovsky playing the first movement of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. This is some of the most poetic piano playing you could ever hear. VK3SL testing. Yes, Poetry in Motion. That was an extraordinary interpretation of the Moonlight Sonata, the first movement, played by Yasha Spivakovsky. Great pianist who actually resided in Melbourne and for many years, and from about 1933 to 1970, I think he passed away. But he was one of the great aristocrats of the piano, really. And that performance is quite extraordinary in its scope, particularly the use of the pedal. And wow. Anyhow, so that's something we're looking to listen to some of Spivakovsky's playing as an ongoing thing, I think, because there's quite a bit of material, samples from the anthology put up online, and it's nice to celebrate a local musician who had such prominence. And anyhow, we'll continue now with our main offering, which is Dvorak's, what is it? His symphonic variations on an original theme. He sort of did this, he wrote this as a little bit, how would you say it? It's in a response to a challenge. And he was lampooned a bit by some of the critics, and and then as a part of that experience, he was challenged to write a set of variations on an impossible piece, or a piece that would not be deemed possible. So he chose a very simple piece called I Am a Fiddler, a Czech folk melody, and then he wrote a set of symphonic variations on this tune. So, yeah, it's a great work. It's something fairly early Dvorak, and it's not a work I knew that well, but I've had a sample, and it's certainly worth revisiting. So, yeah, we'll have a listen to it on a tape, actually. This is on an HMV stereosonic tape, although we won't be hearing it in stereo. We'll hear it as a mono offering. And it's a recording made in the 50s with the Philharmonia Orchestra with Sir Malcolm Sargent. So we've cranked up the Q Master 77, and we're ready to go. Hopefully it will do what it should. This is vk3sl testing. This is a test transmission from vk3sl. test transmission from vk3sl. Well, why do we hear that more often? Masterful writing of Antonin Dvorak. We heard his symphonic variations on an original theme, and this tape going everywhere. My goodness me, the leaders come off and things are going crazy. Well, that's a clean-up job, but I don't want to take away from the wonderful performance. Fabulous, yes. Dvorak's symphonic variations on an original theme. It's based on a Moravian folk theme. And he masterfully turned it into something miraculous and varied and interesting, full of beautiful orchestral textures. And I'm delighted to hear that. So that's now in my consciousness, where it wasn't before, and you really don't hear it on any concert programs. It's not a work that's played often. Well, we're sort of a little way away from our arsenic hour, so I think we'll hear another work of Dvorak's, a short work, just an overture, and we'll hear now the Carnival Overture, a work he wrote about 20 years after the one we've just heard, a later work of Dvorak's written in 1891, and it's a part of a trilogy of overtures he wrote in that year. This one's called Carnival. It's very celebratory, and there's a wedding next door, so I think celebration is the theme of the evening. And I got to see the bride. I ducked out before, and I was able to wave to her. Of course, with social distancing, we're not even allowed to get close to people. Couldn't share a drink with them, but we could wave and say hi, and that's about the extent of it. But let's have a listen now to the Carnival Overture. This will set the scene. Now, it's a recording from with the Czech Philharmonic at the New Year's concert for 2020 with Jakub Husler as the conductor. VK3SL, testing. Been listening to the music of Dvorak, his Carnival Overture, Opus 92, with the Czech fill with Jakub Huslar as the conductor. Fantastic live performance. Fantastic music. Oh, I love it. It's great to hear Dvorak, and we should play more. I've been looking through the lists, and there's so much more. We could just keep going for lifetimes worth of missions, and great to find celebratory works in the playlist. All right then, folks, we'll have to leave it for tonight. I've got to go in and be responsible, and before I go, I will play our new exit music, which is the music of Handel, another composer capable of writing incredibly celebrative music. Is that a term? Doesn't matter. But in this instance, this is slightly sobering because it does give an oblique nod to the, the madness of our times. Anyhow, we're going to hear All We, Like Sheep, Have Gone Astray from the Messiah. That's our new exit music, and I'm vk3sl. Until tomorrow.
All we like sheep. All we like sheep have gone astray. All we like sheep. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned. We have turned. Everyone to his own way.